We've got a terrific program for you today, and we need you to take your seats so we can get kicked off here today with our wonderful guest who's going to sing the Star-Spangled Banner. Elsa Cobio from George Sanchez High School will begin our program. Elsa.
Good afternoon, everybody. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Now, Reverend Tucker for the invocation.
Let us pray. God of all that we hold sacred, Lord of all our deepest hopes, we all feel that we live to find the purpose of our lives. We all know that we've been given this moment to make a difference in our own lives and a difference in the lives of those around us that you also hold sacred. You've given us all this city as our home, all its people, its schools and hospitals, its businesses and institutions, its homes and places of worship, its hopes and dreams, its great diversity of peoples, languages, and cultures. Help us. Help us to cherish and celebrate this gift. And you've also given each of us here the call and the ability, the feeling of necessity and responsibility to shape the future of this city in which we live. Do not allow us to take what we've been given for granted. You are always in our future, calling us out of our past. Strengthen the work of all who try to see that future. Strengthen the work of the Center for Houston's future. Make it and us instruments of hope. Give us wisdom, give us inspiration, strengthen us, and strengthen our city. Amen.
Thank you. If I could grab your attention. Thank you both for such a wonderful opening. Welcome all of you. Hello. Welcome all of you to the 2012 Future of Leadership Luncheon. My name is James Calloway, and I'm the chairman of the board of the Center for Houston's Future. On behalf of the board and the mighty center team, we are honored to have you here with us today. This annual event brings together the best of Houston's remarkable and diverse leadership and gives us a chance to bestow the Eugene H. Vaughn Award, honoring transformative lifetime civic leadership, and also to hear from one of our most inspiring current leaders. We first want to thank our presenting sponsor, Chevron. Chevron's generous support of our events and programs allow us to continue our work as the region's think tank. We also want to thank our major underwriters for this luncheon: Bank of America, Bud Light, Silver Eagle Distributors, and Shell. Because it's so important, I urge you all to take a look at the program that you have before you and at the slideshow that will run during the lunch for a list of all the supporters of this event. Please join me in thanking all of our supporters. Thank you. And of course, these things never happen without great luncheon chairs. So I really want to stop for a moment and thank Rufus and Yvonne Cormier, who have done an incredible job. We exceeded our goals and in record time this year, so thank you all so much for your amazing leadership. And we're joined today, as we are, by the way, in all of our work during the year, by the region's public officials and their hardworking staffs. So we would like to ask any of the public officials or their staff to please rise so that we can thank you for your service to the community. Please rise. Thank you very much. And I would be utterly remiss to not take a moment and to welcome our founding chairman, Gene Vaughn, who this award is named after. It's great to have you with us today, Gene. So please stand up, Gene. Thank you for your leadership in creating the center. Thank you so much. I hope you all saw the great media coverage last week about the public launch of our Scenarios 2040 initiative. We are confident that as we roll out the Scenario 24 efforts through a year of regional roundtables and a 2013 regional summit, that we will not only elicit remarkable dialogue across this region, but also spur change. For those that aren't so familiar, Scenarios 2040 is the largest, as far as we are aware, is the largest public interest, business-led regional scenario planning project in the country. The fact that we as a region undertook such a difficult exercise demonstrates our willingness to face facts, to think long-term, and to develop the civic capacity to manage the complex issues before us. This gives our region a distinct advantage to make more informed choices, to drive strategic change, and to build an inclusive and a connected society that is both globally competitive and sustainable. For many of you who gave literally thousands of volunteer hours to this scenario effort, a very special thanks from the Center for Houston Future, and I think it should be from the people of this region who will so benefit from your commitment. Thank you to all the people who work so hard on this. And by the way, there's a way that each of you can help us, and you can help the region and the center. At your table, there's a bunch of things that we'll talk about in a minute, but there's a card, and it would really help us if you would fill out that card. It lets us know you're here, but it also allows us to have a better understanding of the things that you're interested in so that we can find more effective ways to engage you in the work of this region. So please do take a look at this. It would really be helpful. And by the way, make a note if you have organizations or companies that would like for us to come out and present the Scenarios 2040 and engage your organizations in this important conversation about our long-term future. So now, what I'd like to do, since we're just rolling this out, I'd like to show a quick video about how these scenarios are already impacting the region.
One of the great things about the scenarios is they got us thinking about, well, what's Houston going to look like? So as we begin to adjust what the school and healthcare needs are, we're anticipating how is Houston going to be different, both from a business perspective, but also demographics. It made us pause and think a bit about how should we be thinking about both strategies, one that was a distributed model, but one that also focused on a potential concentrated population. We would never, I have to say, we wouldn't have even thought about that had the scenarios not been shown to us.
These are script of the scenarios.
Using the scenarios as a jumping off point got us to a serious discussion that I'm not aware we've ever had, certainly not in the city and probably not in the region, and that is precipitated by Hurricane Ike, of course, the discussion about what the role of the coast, the Texas coast is.
I think that the videos helped give us a platform where we can talk about regionalism, and that's the first hurdle.
These issues, even though we're talking about 2040, they are really right around the corner. We have to start planning now, and because we deal with a lot of education of the students in the East End, we have to start now. We have to maybe change our approach a little bit, just kind of based on some of the points that were discussed today.
One of the most important issues is what is happening to the population that you serve, but also what's happening to the potential workforce. And so any business in the future would have to have this in mind.
Great. Now, besides these long-range visions that we have, or these long-range exercises that we take with 2040, the Center also issues its annual report card on critical issues of the region, such as education, water supply, healthcare, and others. With the generous support of the Farsighted Houston Endowment, we have assembled a dedicated team to work with the best minds in the region and throughout the country to carefully consider the topics and issues that we raise in that year, and to produce our annual Community Indicator Report, providing a roadmap for improvement. Now, you have at your table, and each one of you, you have before you our latest report on education. And we have just kicked off our 2012 work in the area of community health to be released in early 2013. While the Center does not have the capacity to effectuate the change by itself, as a trusted steward of our region's future, the Center is able to bring together the people and the institutions of the region so that the community achieves its strategic goals. As a result of our Education Indicators report that we've just issued, we have chosen to spearhead the region's My Degree Counts effort that will be publicly announced next week, April 2nd, so watch for that. This effort will dramatically increase the percentage of our residents that complete either 2- or 4-year degrees, and is being led by the Center, working as a team with all of the community colleges in the region, universities in the region, the many ISDs, and a number of major regional employers. Here's a quick PSA geared towards those who have dropped out of college that will begin running in conjunction with next week's launch of our My Degree Count with Mayor Parker.
Nothing should stop you from finishing your college degree.
You can do it, and I am a living witness.
Never too old to go back to school.
I mean, I'm 31, about to graduate.
It's like a way better chance of having a better future.
You can always go back to school, regardless of any circumstance.
Just do it. I mean, because once you get in there and get your feet wet, you will realize there was nothing to be afraid of, and it'll be the best decision that you've ever made.
It's easier than you think. Visit mydegreecounts.com.
Through the My Degrees Counts Consortium, we have a goal, and this is interesting, and we believe it's achievable, to increase the graduation rate at least 1% in this region by next summer, and to continue to improve college graduation rates thereafter. We believe the team has the capacity and commitment to achieve this goal. Very fascinating. For each 1% increase in graduation rates in this region, we increase our region's gross domestic product by approximately $4 billion per year. $4 billion per year. Now that's a heck of a return on investment. The My Degree Count initiative is a perfect example of integrated translation all the way from scenarios 2040, those long-range look, to the identification of areas of opportunity from our Education Indicators report, to convening the region to take charge of changes needed that will make us stronger today and tomorrow. If you are one of the many in this room who are part of the Center's effort, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And if you're inspired by our mission, join us, support us, and become a force for strategic change in our great region. Thank you for support and attendance today. And now, I'd like to introduce our outstanding luncheon chairmen, Yvonne and Rufus Cormier.
Thank you so very much, James. Yvonne and I are honored to be the chairs of this year's luncheon. First, we want to express our sincere appreciation to Laura and Rick Jaramillo for their invaluable contribution as vice chairs of the luncheon. Rick is unable to be here because of a work commitment, but Laura, please stand and let us recognize you. We're also very grateful to the host committee for its tremendous support. Would the members of the host committee please stand and be recognized? Additionally, we want to thank Catherine Mosbacher and her incredible staff for all the work that they've done in the planning and the implementation of today's luncheon. Thank you, Catherine and staff.
The mission of the Center for Houston's Future is to advance the Houston region as one of the top 10 cities and communities in which to work and live. The work of accomplishing that mission is being carried out by all of you in this room and by the work that you do, and by your support of the center. As Gene Vaughn likes to say, the future is a choice, not a fate. And we'd like to thank you for making the choice to be with us here today.
And speaking of Gene Vaughn, and Gene, again, I'd like to reiterate how pleased we are that you're in attendance today. There's a benefit to being chairs of this luncheon that we were not aware of. We get the best task of the whole event. We are honored and delighted because we get to present the 2011 Eugene H. Vaughn Civic Leadership Award. As the name of this luncheon suggests, the center spends much of its time focused on the future of leadership. But the future never happens in a vacuum. The center concluded that it's vitally important to recognize and honor those civic leaders who laid the foundation upon which we continue to build the future of leadership. In 2004, we began by honoring Gene Vaughn with the award that now bears his name. In the years since, we've honored James Kettleson, Ben Love, Bill Barnett, Reverend William Lawson, Ned Holmes, Jack Blanton Sr., and last year, Felix and Lupe Fraga.
This year, we are proud to honor a leader who has literally transformed neighborhoods throughout the city, as well as organizations and business throughout the region. And that leader is Ed Wulfe. Those involved with the center often quote something that Ed said at one of the center's leadership forums, because it so perfectly describes not only the goal of the forums, but the purpose of this award. He told the class that to be a real leader, you must have two equal careers, your business work and your volunteer work. Now, you don't need to explain the business side of things to people in these forums. They get it. But he stressed that you must have a volunteer life that you're just as passionate about, that you work just as hard at, and that you value equally with your business. That's the only way to be a true civic leader.
Ed has followed the course he described for 5 decades. Ed, in order to do your story justice, we videoed interviews with other outstanding leaders for this tribute. We will just show the tribute after we present the award. So it's just a tremendous honor to present this well-deserved award to Ed Wulfe. Ed, please.
Well, I was about to say that when Catherine Mossbacher puts on an event, if you haven't noticed, everything runs with perfect timing, split-second coordination, and the story was that I would say my remarks to thank the group and the various people involved in the video. So, having a backup plan, I said I want to say a couple of words, and they said I could have a Academy Award moment, an Academy Awards thank you, which is unfortunate because you're going to listen to me longer and I don't have any pretty women to take me off. But I want to thank you for the distinct honor to be included among the previous recipients of the Gene Vaughan Civic Leadership Award. Gene Vaughan, as all of you know, has been an inspiration and a mentor to so many of us in so many ways for so many years. He has demonstrated bold leadership and visionary thinking throughout his impressive career, and I am honored to have him as a friend. Thank you, Gene. As our city's think tank, and think about that, our city's think tank, the Center for Houston's Future has been at the forefront of envisioning and helping us prepare for our future. They have played a key role in identifying and engaging our future leaders who ultimately will make it happen. And so I thank the Center for this very meaningful recognition. I want to also acknowledge and thank my wife, Lorraine, who never hesitates to give me advice, and ask my family who's here with me today to please stand. And I want to also acknowledge the members of the Wulfe & Company team who always cover for me and do all the work. And so, again, complying with Catherine's wishes, my Academy moment is over, and I thank you.
Have we gotten the difficulties addressed?
Not yet. Just keep going.
Well, in any event, in part because of this delay, we'd like to give a second award to Ed. Yvonne, please come forward and do that.
Well, I could take an Academy Award moment and give you a speech, but I won't. Ed, because one award is not enough to thank you for all that you do in honor of the 5 decades, and that's a long time, of civic leadership. Judge Ed Emmett has declared today Ed Wulfe Day throughout the Harris County, not just in Houston. So I have a proclamation for you to declare this day Ed Wulfe Day, and hopefully we'll get the technical part about it so everybody can learn more about you. Here it is.
I'm truly honored to join the Center for Houston's Future. Impressive list of distinguished and really most worthy recipients of the Gene Vaughn Civic Leadership Award and their history of really making a difference in leadership in Houston. Gene Vaughn, who I've known for many years, has that unique passion, that unique enthusiasm and foresight, and he really epitomizes the can-do attitude and vision of Houston's great leaders. The Center for Houston's Future has always been focused on protecting and projecting our future. And it's been the forefront of identifying, of informing, and of mobilizing our future leaders. It is absolutely hands-on in terms of who's going to lead us as we go forward. And it's important that their accomplishments as leaders, our accomplishments as a city, under the leadership of the Center for Houston's Future, will really help us build an enviable and a meaningful quality of life for all of our citizens.
Lots of people have vision, but not all of the people with vision know how to translate that vision into reality. And that, I think, is one of Ed's greatest gifts, that he not only has the vision, he has the tools and the personality and the skills to make that vision come to life. His view of the city of Houston and his ability to juggle more things in a day than some people juggle in a year is unbelievable. Ed wants people to know what it means to be a part of the broader community, what it means not just to hoard your success, but to share your success. And not just your monetary success, but the skills that you have acquired over your lifetime to be successful in business and then make that into a successful community.
Well, one of the things you really have to love about Ed is that Ed is really a doer. He stepped into the presidency of the Houston Symphony Society Board at a very delicate time in the symphony's history and made a real difference in sustaining that organization and really moving it forward at a time when things really could have gone the other way. Ed is not one to sit around and tell others what to do. Ed's one to roll up his sleeves and make sure that it gets done.
I'm very excited the Center for Houston's Future has picked Ed Wulfe to honor as the recipient of its Eugene H. Vaughn Civic Leadership Award. I can't think of a better person to receive the award this year. Ed is such a visionary and has done so much, both to improve Houston and to improve its quality of life, which really makes for a better Houston. Ed's a gem for this community, and we're lucky to have him. Ed, congratulations.
The Center plays a critical role in helping lead Houston into its future with determination and with dedication. Their work will be instrumental in our building this future and producing a city that will have an enviable and meaningful quality of life and quality of place, and have a successful and appealing economic vitality with job opportunities for all. And most importantly, the opportunity to grow and live and shop and work and do what you want to do and enjoy the fruits of your effort in the education of your family and children and grow together as one great city. The Center for Houston's Future has always focused on protecting and projecting our future. It has been at the forefront of providing the leadership and the vision and the thinking for what's required to go forward.
If you listen to Ed talk about his family, he's so proud of them and all that they do. And as busy as he is, Ed manages to spend a special amount of time with each and every one of his grandchildren. One should note about Ed is that in Lorraine, he has found a partner who not only admires him and loves him, but truly is his equal in intelligence and in passion for the things that she's passionate about. I will say to you that they do cancel each other out at the voting booth. I'm so honored to be a part of this and have the opportunity to let all of you know how much I adore and how much I respect Ed Wulfe.
Ed truly loves Houston in a way that is distinguishing. A lot of leaders in Houston love Houston, but with Ed, you really feel it goes to his bones. And he has made a real effort to touch Houston's future in a lot of different ways. It's not as if he's just picked one thing. He's picked a lot of things. He's made a difference in parks. He's made a difference in our culture. He's made a difference in education. He's made a difference in politics. And one of the things you love about Ed is that he can do a lot of things and do them very well. Another thing that's important is that in Lorraine, Ed has a fantastic partner who's right there with him, making a difference in many, many ways herself. So it's Ed and Lorraine as a team is the way that we really think about it. And thank God that we've got both of them here in Houston.
At least 4 mayors have known where to turn when they had a particular problem or needed sage advice. Whether that problem was the redevelopment of Marland Plaza, the decaying Gulfgate Mall, or in my case, the desire to bring movies back to downtown Houston, we all turn to Ed Wulfe. He's a proven rainmaker. He is a relentless negotiator. He's a passionate Houstonian, and he's really a heck of a nice guy. I'm proud to call him my friend. Congratulations, Ed.
The ball is in great hands with the Center for Houston's Future. It couldn't be in better hands. And so my sincere thanks to all associated with the Center for this significant honor for me and important recognition. And I want to expressly add my personal thanks to my wife, Lorraine, our family members, members of the Wulfe & Company team, and everybody else who's helped make me what I am and help accomplish what I've done. The Center for Houston's Future will take us to the building of a great city for now and forever.
A dual career, not only in the real estate and development area, but also to our community, and we thank you for that selfless service. So thank you, Ed Wulfe. We appreciate everything you do. Well, good afternoon. We are just thrilled that all of you are here today. This is our biggest fundraiser of the year. And by you being here, you show that you care about the future of Houston. We appreciate your enthusiastic support. We know that a different world cannot be built by indifferent people. So again, we thank you for being here. I would like to acknowledge our center board and center staff, not only for the work they did toward this luncheon today, but for the work that they do every day. So if you're on the board or advisory council or center staff, please stand and be recognized. Thank you all so very, very much. We call this the Future of Leadership Luncheon, and we do that for a reason, because leadership is really at the heart of what we do. We were founded by our founder, Gene Vaughn, to look over the horizon, but also to widen the circle and deepen the bench of diverse leadership. We are a diverse community, and we want everybody at the table. Many of you are familiar with the center, and I'm going to ask now all of those of you who have graduated from our Business Civic Leadership Forum, would you stand, please, and be recognized? So those of you who are grads, that's quite a few of you, thank you all. And we're really having some fun. We're about to launch in June our Leadership Next. This is a program for those of you who are 35 and under. It's for the next millennial group of leaders, and you all will actually be spearheading the charge in 2040. You'll be here. And we had so much fun. It was very cool at our recent reception that we had to introduce the whole concept of Leadership Next. We actually had the daughter of one of our graduates, and we had the younger brother of one of our graduates. So it's wonderful to be engaging the next generation of leadership. Before I introduce our speaker, I have a little challenge for you. Many of you, again, are involved in the center. James mentioned earlier these cards that everyone has at their places. Very simple. If you would just take a minute to take a look at it, decide what you're interested in, what moves you, and make your commitment today to be part of the future of leadership. So that brings me to my primary duty today, and that is to introduce John Hofmeister. And John, again, is one of our center board members who was chair of our Scenarios 2040, and we are delighted to have him home in Houston. He has been on the road, as I will tell you. He has made quite a commitment to leadership with his recent founding of his organization, Citizens for Affordable Energy. And with his writing, he has written a book and is writing another book right now on leadership. And today we'll have an opportunity to get a little preview of that book on leadership. Someone once said that optimizing a business model that is slowly becoming irrelevant cannot secure our future. Our keynote speaker today will suggest to us that we do indeed need a new model for leadership, one for our leaders for this century that will allow them to tackle the enormous challenges, the complex and constant challenges facing each of the leaders around the globe. While John was at Shell, he launched an extensive outreach program, something really unprecedented in the industry, to discuss critical energy issues around the globe. And he reached out to more than 15,000 business, civic, academic, and policymakers. When he retired from Shell in 2008, again, he founded the Citizens for Affordable Energy. This is a nonprofit based in Washington, D.C. It's a public policy organization, and it promotes a range of affordable energy supplies, essential infrastructure, sustainable environment policies, and energy education. Mr. Hofmeister has held executive positions at General Electric, Nortel, and Allied Signal, which is now Honeywell International. He currently serves as the chairman of the board of the National Urban League. He's on the boards of the National Energy Security Council. He is a fellow of the National Academy of Human Resources, and many of you know him as past chairman of the Greater Houston Partnership. If you haven't already read his first book, the title is Why We Hate the Oil Companies, Straight Talk from an Energy Insider. And it's just a terrific read, so I do recommend it to you. And because of this book, in the last 2 years, John has really been on the road. He has served as an energy expert for more than 250 media events. He's been on all the major networks, all the cable programs, MSNBC, CNBC, Fox, BBC. He's been on programs in Canada, Japan, Australia, and also a number of Al Jazeera broadcasts. He has delivered remarks in over 30 states and to groups as small as 50 and as large as more than 14,000. So please help me welcome Houston's own John Hofmeister.
Thank you, Catherine, for that introduction, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a privilege and an honor to share a podium with Ed Wulfe and to be part of this. Ed, congratulations. And if I may just add, Jean as well, wonderful to see you out and about. Leadership is a touchy subject. And when you try to get into it, when you start to think about real people who are leaders, you start to think about they are also human beings, but then you have to think about the leadership challenges that leaders face. And I'll speak for a moment about the macro challenges that we face, because I believe that it is a statement on leadership today. If we think about the world we live in today and what leaders are attempting to cope with, we could start with the bursting economic bubbles that we've experienced in the last decade. The fact that huge companies have disappeared from either the stock exchange on which they were publicly held or they're simply gone, gone for good. We have economies struggling through most of the world. We're experiencing structurally higher unemployment. We see environmental degradation setting in, land, water, and air. We've been involved in what seem like endless wars. We encounter lawless states. We're still dealing with the effects of the last recession. We read about repression, and we read about and see tyranny in action. Our own nation has had a financial downgrade. Sovereign debt around the world is unprecedented, leading some nation states to seriously consider default. We see unassailable and unprovoked terrorism driving fear in people's hearts. Corruption continues on. Deficits in this country are gutting communities as we speak. Developing nations are building middle classes at the expense of our own middle class. The trust that people feel, as reflected in Gallup poll results, of companies, government, states, institutions, associations, is in retreat. We experience almost daily the effects of partisan perversity playing out in our political process, where it seems as though power is the end game, not service to the people of the country. And I come to the conclusion, considering all these factors, that 20th century leaders aren't coping with the 21st century issues, because most of our leaders in office today became leaders in the 20th century. And they didn't learn or didn't know or weren't taught what it takes in this century. Because this century is different. In just the last decade or so, so much has changed. The complexity of the world today, the degrees of difficulty that leaders face, the scope and depth of the challenge that confronts them every day, whether in business, whether in government, whether in institutions or associations. There are now global, regional, national, local issues all intertwined with one another. The definition of time has changed. We now live in an instant world where instant news, instant reaction, instant issues, issue resolution is expected. But yet, we also need medium-term and long-term solutions as well. Demographics have changed dramatically. There are simply more of us in virtually every category. There are more old, there are more young, there are more rich, there are more poor, there are more educated, there are more uneducated. And coping with that ever-increasing number of people adds to the challenge. We have untold pressure on things we've taken for granted. Untold pressure on water and food, commodities. Virtually everything that exists has new pressures from more people, and we have to respond. We have the challenges of diversity, where every valuing difference that persons hold are ever more important, and that more people find out about the importance of those differences and the value that it brings to the equation makes it all that more important. And we also face advancing radicalization. Radicalization, where people grasp at ideological straws to support them in what they know because of so much they don't know or choose not to know. We're seeing more indecisiveness in democracies trying to deal with these issues, while we're also watching the growth of autocracies. In other words, powerful states, not necessarily democratic, proceeding in the directions they choose. And it's a world of ever-rising expectations. No more evidence than the Arab Spring to see the importance of dealing with rising expectations. And regrettably, we spend more than we make as society, often as people. And so the overburden of too much government is also confronting the lack of sufficient government in many parts of the world. This affects businesses, it affects institutions, and of course it affects governments themselves. Now, I'm not including in this discussion the outlier leaders in name only. The outlier leaders in name only are the grotesque incumbents of office who simply are narcissistic, singularly autocratic, corrupt, dysfunctional, even psychopathic. There are such people, and it really does require us to take them out of office as the only solution to such corrupt leadership. But the fundamental problem is too many leaders today can't lead. Celebrity CEOs who like the limelight, who enjoy the trappings of office, and particularly enjoy the remuneration in office, or rock star politicians who also don't know what they don't know, put us at grave risk of committing ourselves, our activities, our loyalties, our hard work behind people who don't deserve to hold the office. It is very difficult to learn the office from the office without the proper steps of preparation, which is why so many organizations focus on leadership education and leadership development from the beginning of someone's career as they take on responsibilities. 20th century leadership development became an industry unto itself. But yet, despite the billions spent and the millions of man-hours committed, we are where we are, in a situation that some say is not getting better. And how we select, how we assess, how we develop, how we appraise, how we reward leaders, all part of organizational processes, whether it's a university, whether it's a parish, whether it's a city government, whether it's a state, whether it's a nation, whether it's a huge corporation, or whether it's a startup business. All of these inherent processes go into the way in which leaders are chosen. But I'm afraid there's been a scandalous lack of accountability, holding leaders' feet to the fire, which has led to where we are today. This is not to take away from seriously committed people doing their darndest, doing their best. We have many, many effective, good leaders. But when you look at the totality, we don't have enough. And given the challenges that these many good leaders given the challenges that these many good leaders face, they need more. I submit they need, in the 21st century with all of its challenges, to come to grips with those fundamental leadership traits of the past, which can serve us well into the future, and it's time to add on to that. So let me just review a list of 7 critical elements, 7 critical requirements, 7 critical gates that a leader needs to move through to succeed, in my opinion, in the 21st century, and to deliver what we expect of leaders in the 21st century. In the first instance, the tried and true and the important understanding of an individual's values and behaviors. Those rock-solid core values. I like to think, and I learned from my past, core values of honesty, integrity, respect for people, and there are others that people commit themselves to. And then to display the behaviors that relate to those core values, so that in the famous expression, people do walk the talk. Those values and behaviors are ways in which we can sort out the narcissists and the corrupt and the psychopaths, so they never get to office in the first place. So a continued focus on the importance of values and behaviors. An increasing focus on the importance of understanding context with a well-informed worldview. Leaders today of local organizations, state organizations, national, global organizations, leaders today must grasp the context in which they are operating and the world in which that organization exists. The recent blow-up, I would submit, between Planned Parenthood and Komen, which we've all witnessed, embarrassingly so, was, in my opinion, a lack of a grasp of context, of the importance of that context in the decision-making process, of how two incredibly important organizations exist in relation to one another and exist in relation to their stakeholders. And so grasping that context of what it takes in order for organization leaders to be effective is a never-ending effort of personal education. A third element, leaders really need to be chosen who have the necessary, let me call it, cognitive capacity. Cognitive capacity is more than just intelligence. It's the ability to apply intelligence. And when we choose someone with an adequate grasp, the consequences are huge. In addition to that, a proper understanding of time and how time spans into the future, so that a leader who is looking at global responsibilities is not thinking about this quarter's results. Thinking about this quarter's results when Lord knows what's happening over in another part of the world that is going to impact that organization mercilessly 3 or 4 years from now, or within the decade. All that has to be considered simultaneously. And so the time span of horizon has to extend more than just the events of the day. It's the legacy that that leader will also leave the future. In addition to that, a leader must have, if he's to be credible or she's to be credible, a track record of accomplishments. How in the world could someone be selected who doesn't have anything other than promise? Who is expected to deliver? And in the context of delivering on achievements, as achievements become more significant, it becomes ever more realized that the achievements people deliver are not necessarily because of who they are or what they know, it's the people that they relate to. And so the relationship requirements of leaders in order to obtain best efforts and work content from others becomes every bit as important. So the wrap-up together of cognitive capacity, time span of horizon, achievement and relationships becomes all important in this area. The fourth, understanding and utilizing the essentials of organization capability in the areas of strategy, structure, process, deployment of people, and the importance of measurements. That combination, because no leader gets anything done without the support and the help of and the work of the organization. If that organization is in chaos, or if that organization doesn't understand where authorities lie, or if that organization doesn't have the processes by which work gets done, or that organization doesn't have competent people able to work in the processes according to the structure, according to the strategy, and aren't held accountable by measurement, what do you get? The U.S. Congress. In the fifth case, in the 21st century, and I'm sorry we missed this in the 20th century, in the 21st century, no leader can lead appropriately, adequately, efficiently, or effectively who is not committed to, who does not display, who is not invested in social responsibility and associated sustainability demands as part of that social responsibility. No leader in charge of a public company, in my opinion, can honestly say, as I heard a CEO say a little more than a year ago, I hear your considerations, John, I hear your concerns, but I'll tell you what, in my job as the CEO of my company, I work for my shareholders. That's what I do. My shareholders gave me their money so I can make money for them. That's what I do. And all I could say in response is, I feel sorry for you, and I feel sorry for them. Because whether you are in government or institutions or associations or in corporations, if you do not have the care, concern, and commitment to the society in which you operate, you've lost your license to operate, to take advantage of societies that provide you with your revenue, provide you with your taxes, provide you with whatever means of support you receive, not to be considerate of, not to be mindful of, and not to be involved in improving that society to help make it a better place is severely missing and costs everyone something. And I think it's critical in the 21st century. Number 6, a person who can demonstrate on an ongoing basis that they have developed the maturity to balance the emotional, the physical, the mental, and the spiritual aspect of their life. Not to have that physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual balance means you're not the whole person you need to be when you are a leader. I said earlier, leaders are human beings. As human beings, they are not machines, nor are they deities, as some of the outliers think they may be. They are people who can develop, who can acquire, who can grow into that mature balance of all of the necessities of demonstrating that maturity on an ongoing basis. And 7th, and this is tough for a lot of people, but ever more critical with the complexity and the challenges that leaders face, optimizing their internal flow of their strengths and capabilities, where the energy level that they can sustain is equal to the task. We get energy from purpose. And when we are purposeful, and when we are actively engaged and enjoying what we do, that energy is inexhaustible. Leaders today need an inexhaustible supply of energy to meet the ongoing challenges that they face. And what that comes from is the internal harmonization of everything that they are as a person, so that when their staff, when their stakeholders, when their public are looking at them in that leadership moment, which could occur at any time of day or night, that flow is there. The combination of those 7 characteristics, those 7 qualities, those 7 requirements, ladies and gentlemen, takes me to the ultimate, the new definition that I propose for leaders in the 21st century. The aspirational goal, the journey that one is on, the task that lies in front, is for the leader of the 21st century to get attached to their name the fact that they are a coherent leader. A coherent leader who has earned the title by moving through the 7 steps, by having mastered and accomplished all of these elements, so that they can demonstrate, they can lead in a way that they present to their followers, to their publics, to their stakeholders, to their customers, to their students, or to their parishioners. So they can say in this way that we have in our leader a rational, a logical, an orderly, a lucid, an aesthetically consistent leader that's tenacious, that is meaningful, that is comprehensive, and that's intelligent. That's a coherent leader. A coherent leader demonstrates rational, logical, orderly, lucid, aesthetically consistent leadership in ways that can best be described as tenacious, as meaningful, as comprehensible, and as intelligent. That, ladies and gentlemen, to me is the epitome of what's required in the 21st century to meet the challenges of business, to meet the challenges of education, to meet the challenges of government, because you ultimately have to ask yourself the so what question. So what comes from a coherent leader? Well, if we could move down this path, if we could achieve the objectives set out, if we could demonstrate to the satisfaction of the stakeholders, the publics, the students, the customers, this coherency, the so what of leadership is quite simple and quite enjoyable. The so what of leadership is that a leader makes a singular but also a collective contribution among leaders to achieve peace, prosperity, security, freedom, and fulfillment to all those he or she leads. And how good is that? Thanks for listening.
Wow. That was an incredible presentation, John, and I know inspired me, and I'm sure inspired all of you to re-examine yourself and think about how to be a more coherent 21st century leader. And John, we want to thank you very much for this wonderful presentation with this award.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Last but not least, if Joni Baird would please come up, we'd like to please give you this plaque thanking Chevron once again for your wonderful support and ongoing support of the center. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming, and have a great day.